A number of years ago, a patient called me to say he couldn't get his cancer surgery. What we did for that patient, what happened with that patient, teaches important lessons about where quality comes from in the operating room and what we surgeons can do together to simplify access for our patients. I'd like to share that story with you. Stick around, I explain what we did and what it could mean for you. The year was 2009. You might remember that was the time of healthcare reform. Congress was busy trying to reform the entire system, and this man was on the phone saying he couldn't get his cancer surgery. The reason was as follows. He had been diagnosed with prostate cancer and lost his job all at the same time. That meant he lost his insurance, his credit, and his income. The local hospital where he lived in Portland, Oregon, had all the equipment and all the tools and all the people that it needed to help him get his cancer surgery. That hospital wanted $55,000. He had $24,000. The man called me, I'm in Miami, and said, "Will you help me, please?" And my answer is, "Of course, let me see what I can do." Well, it turned out that I was wrong. I couldn't help him because in Miami, like in Portland, money needed to be paid up front. Compassion, mercy, and flexibility were not a part of the story. By coincidence, a month before, I'd been to Trinidad in the Caribbean. At the end of an exhausting trip, a man turned to me and said, "I have a hospital." The only thing on my mind at that point was, I wanted to go back to my hotel and get home. But God works in funny ways. That man was my ride home. And so there in Trinidad, at midnight, in a lightning storm, in a scene frankly out of Frankenstein, there I was touring an operating room that for all the world to me looked like every other operating room. It had linoleum floors, it had a suture cabinet full of Ethicon sutures just like at home, it had a Datex Omeda anesthesia machine. When we hit a brick wall in Oregon and Florida, I called the man back and I said, "Let's make a deal." And we did. I then presented him with a shopping list. I said, "Look, you've got all the basics. I'd like a robot, please." He says, "I don't have a robot." We kept on searching, and what we found was a hospital in Colorado throwing out a robot for $1,000. This was a robot in mint condition, which we bought for $1,000. How's that possible? Well, you know the story. Surgeon makes a promise, doesn't keep it. Hospital gets stuck with excess inventory and dumps it any way we can. So we took a patient from Oregon, an operating room in Trinidad, a robot from Colorado, and a surgical team from Miami, and we custom built a surgery package that the patient could afford. That experience teaches that surgeons can put together access to surgery in ways that very few other people can. And the reason for that is we actually know what a suture looks like. We've since then developed surgery packages for lots more patients in cancer, in orthopedics, in nephrolithiasis, in reconstruction. The model is the same. Operating rooms are commodities. The quality comes from the surgeon. If you know what you're doing, you can put all of that together and serve it as a complete flat fee package. Surgeo is a service designed by surgeons to continue to scale up the very same concept that I shared with you in regards to the Oregon patient. We're working with orthopedists and ophthalmologists and gynecologists and so on to develop more surgery packages that our patients can access. What does all that mean for you? Well, for one thing, Surgeo doesn't cost you anything. Surgeo is a network that you join for free if you qualify. In order to qualify, you need to go through what we call a peer credentialing process. Surgeo is one of few, perhaps the only one at this point, exclusive networks based on the principles of surgeon peer credentialing. Here's what it does for you. Number one, it gives you visibility in front of the kinds of patients you want to see. Number two, it associates you with other peer-credentialed surgeons, highly qualified surgeons, in other locations and in other specialties. That's a form of validation that's hard to come by. It's a validation of your peers saying, "You're one of us now." Number three, Surgeo gives you administrative simplicity. First of all, we're not an insurance company, and we're not the government. We don't tell you what to charge. We don't give you an allowance. You freely say, "Here's what my fee is." And that's what gets built into the package. When you're contracted through Surgeo for a surgery package that includes the facility, the anesthesia, and perhaps some other things, when you deliver a service to a Surgeo customer, you're paid in full. There's no nickels, there's no dimes, there's no minutia, there's no deductibles, there's no co-payments, there's no out-of-pockets, there's nothing to chase, because Surgeo obligates itself to paying you your fee as one lump sum. And you know what? We pay fast. We've gotten payments out, literally, within hours of getting the invoice. If you believe, like I do, that we need to simplify access to surgical care, if we need to put quality and convenience at the center of the conversation, then you should be joining us. If you believe, like so many of your other colleagues, that you could benefit from visibility, association with other peer-credentialed surgeons, and administrative simplicity, that too is a reason to join us. If you have any questions about Surgeo, what we're trying to do to simplify access to quality care, and what Surgeo can do for you, please give me a call. I'd love to talk with you. Thank you.